On today's episode,
People think that there's only a linear way of learning. And when you're dyslexic, we realize it's not just linear. And if you ask me, it just makes us more creative. The receptionist place called the temp agency and said, don't ever send that girl out. She don't know what she's doing. I don't think I would be here as an artist or as a woman if I hadn't taken karate. Donuts are just that's my weakness there. Donuts and potato chips are my weakness.
delicious, skinny, hungry, cake, fat, scale, nutrition, fitness, strength, longevity, calories, body image, craving, lose weight.
What does it all mean?
Hungry, adjective, having a strong craving or desire. Stunt girl, noun, one who takes calculated risks to yield extraordinary or magical outcomes.
You're listening to the Hungry Stunt Girl podcast.
Here's your host, Heidi Germain Schnappoff.
Hello, welcome to the Hungry Stunt Girl podcast. I am Heidi Germain Schnappoff, professional stuntwoman for film and television, and I have to tell you that today's episode is so epic. I actually was considering breaking it up into two. I didn't, but I considered it. I was lucky enough to snag Michelle Hurd for a few hours amidst her surprisingly busy schedule and had the most amazing talk about everything from dyslexia to her eventual involvement in martial arts to get her out of some trouble as a teen and some pretty amazing food she's been cooking. I met Michelle working on Blindspot. She's an amazing actress, and we worked quite a bit with each other. I had the opportunity to have several fight scenes with her, and we just immediately hit it off. And this interview is so chock full of good stuff. I am going to get right to it, and I hope you enjoy listening just as much as I enjoyed having this conversation. Enjoy.
Hungry. Stunt girl.
Today's guest is a New York City Greenwich Village native who is not only an incredible actress, but kicks some major butt. She graduated from Boston University with a degree in acting and took off in the world of theater and commercials. She can currently be seen starring opposite Patrick Stewart in the CBS all-access smash hit Star Trek series Picard. In addition to her explosive performance as Shepard on NBC's hit drama Blindspot, Hurd is also known for her recurring role on Hawaii Five-0, Starz hit horror comedy Ash vs. Evil Dead, the Marvel Universe series Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and the A&E summer series The Glades. Other television credits include Younger, Devious Maids, 90210, Witches of East End, How to Get Away with Murder, Bosch, Mysteries of Laura, Pretty Little Liars, Raising Hope, The Good Wife, Law & Order SVU, Gossip Girl, ER, Bones, According to Jim, Law & Order, Smith, Skin, Leap Years, Charmed, The OC, Kevin Hill, The Practice, and Another World. Other film credits include Being Frank opposite Jim Gaffigan, Be Afraid We Don't Belong Here alongside Catherine Keener and Maya Rudolph, Search Engines, With the Right Dark, Girl Most Likely with Kristen Wiig, Random Hearts, Personals, Double Parked, Wolf, and King of New York. Hurd is a proud alumnus of New York City's premier artist community at the Westbeth. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to talk to this incredible human today. Please welcome the incomparable Michelle Hurd.
Yay. Oh, thank you so much, Heidi. You're such a sweetheart.
I try. Thank you for taking some time out of your actually busy schedule, your busy Zoom schedule to talk to me for a little bit.
It's a pleasure to take time out of my Zoom schedule to talk to a friend. So I'm happy to be doing it.
Thanks, Michelle. Michelle is one of my most favorite people that I've ever met ever in my life, not only at work, but in life in general. But so I wanted to talk to you about so many things, including what you like to eat, some food stuff. But first, I wanted to know where you're from, and if you want to give a little history and your background, where you're from, where you grew up, and kind of how you got to where you are. And I know you have a martial arts background, so we better talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a native New Yorker, born and raised in Greenwich Village, New York. I'm the daughter of a young lady from Blackwell, Oklahoma, who realized she's German-Irish, who realized that that's not where she's supposed to be. Moved to New York, met this beautiful man from Jamaica, black man from Jamaica, Hugh Hurd, Merlin Hurd and Hugh Hurd, and the two of them together became civil rights activists, and they actually organized a lot of freedom matinees with Maya Angelou and Godfrey Cambridge to raise money for Dr. King. So I'm a child of activists and artists.
Wow.
That black man is also, not only was he an activist and an actor, but he was also an opera singer and a boxer and a martial artist. So I got all my physical stuff from my dad.
Wow.
Growing up as a teenager in New York, I had a little bit of delinquent issues. I had some issues. I'm not gonna lie, there were some issues. And I have to say, my saving grace was going to finding a dojo, martial arts studio, and the martial arts conservatory, which was my dojo, goju and table jutsu, karate, old school karate.
Yeah. How
and
old
it's
were you?
Yeah, I was 15. And
15,
my
okay.
little crazy time started right around the 15, 16 years old.
Gotcha.
And I think, it was probably 16 where I started taking karate. And for for a good decade. And it really, it was the thing that I don't think I would be here as an artist or as a woman if I hadn't taken karate. It really gave me a place to be, a community that I could call my own. Because remember, I was a delinquent, and I think when teenagers are kind of acting out, they're just trying to be seen and heard, and they feel that they don't have a platform to stand on, and so they act out. And martial arts is an amazing way to give a teenager their own space, because it's their space. It's something that they can own. And then the great byproduct of that is that, first of all, you know how to protect yourself and, kick some fucking ass and keep yourself in shape. But it also, sort of really teaches you that through commitment and dedication and repetition and, a belief in yourself, you can achieve. And you really learn that with martial arts. You find your kick is here, you keep doing it, your kick is here, and all of a sudden your kick's up here, and you realize that you did that. You did that by committing to it, by, having the desire to change what you had to something more, something better. So I highly recommend sending every child to any form of martial arts dojo that you can. Well, good dojos, of course.
I second that. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can definitely have we all saw Karate Kid. We know.
That's right.
Then,
wax on, wax off. Come on.
Right? And then the reboot. Did you see the reboot?
I did see the reboot.
Yeah, that was really good, actually. I really enjoyed that.
I have two nephews, so they loved it. They were just like, they thought they saw themselves right up there, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah, I love that. And I dutifully put them through martial arts as well, just so you know.
Good for you. Where are they, out in California? Or
no, they're in New York. They're at the, what is it called? Mixed Martial Arts. Mixed Martial Arts Studios. Yeah, there's a few of them in Manhattan, and they're doing great. They're doing mixed. They do jujitsu. They do karate, and they do some weapons. So it's pretty cool and compete.
So it's fun to actually the physical aspect of it, but just the training and the commitment. Yeah, that's a good. I feel like more kids should be.
I really
stuff
do.
Like that.
It helped me. I don't know. In fact, I don't even know if I was thinking about being an actor when I was a teen, and in fact, I think my senior year in high school, because I had just been such a delinquent that it was like, whoa, we're here all of a sudden. I suppose I was supposed to be thinking about something. Yeah. Right. And 18. And get out. And it was just in my senior year that I applied to Boston University. And I honestly, I applied to BU because I needed to leave Manhattan because of my sort of delinquency. I needed to not repeat old habits, and that's what I felt like I would be doing if I stayed in the city. So, and what's so funny is that I couldn't go to a college that had a big campus because I'm such a city kid. And when I got off the plane in Boston and got on the T, I was like, oh, okay, you guys have a train. There's a whole city. I can work this out. Cool. Let's do this. I could do this.
Yeah.
So my senior year, I auditioned and applied for Boston University School of Theater Arts, got it, and graduated, and then this is where I am. Just hard. Just doing all the hitting the pavements and all that stuff.
What got you into acting in the first place? So what made you? You said you didn't do much theater in high school, or how did you decide? Yeah. Like, I think I want to act. I'll go to BU. Like, how'd that?
I know, right? How'd that happen? Yeah, I think. My whole family has always been in the arts. As I said, my father was an actor and an opera singer. I'm the baby of three girls. My middle sister, Adrienne, is a dancer. Was a dancer when I think her first class was at 3 or 4 or something like that. And so she's always known her path, and she's danced with ABT, SAB, Newbert, Carnegie Hall. She's danced on Broadway. She's part of Alvin Ailey's company, and she now is teaches at Alvin Ailey as their master Horton teacher.
Did you take classes there, by the way?
I did. I took classes. Yeah, I took classes in Joffrey Ballet as well as Alvin Ailey.
Okay.
But Heidi, honey, I am so not that person. I'm literally like, I'd rather punch someone than do like a pas de bourrée. Yeah.
Here,
so,
me too.
Yeah. So the sort of like, beautifully feminine arms, I was just more like, this than that. So I took the classes so that I would know how to move, but I'm not a dancer.
Awesome.
And then my eldest sister was always Denise Hurd is always into acting, and she now is a stage combat choreographer.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
and she
awesome.
teaches theater up at CUNY College. Yeah, so
Okay.
my whole entire youth, we were always going to see plays and ballets and musicals and operas, and I was just inundated with art. It was just a normal thing for us. It just was such a part of our world. I didn't even think it was a special thing to do. So I think when I got to my senior year, as I said, I wasn't really that great with my academics. And the only thing that I could sort of wrap my head around was the opportunity to explore different lives on stage. So that was the only thing that kind of made me happy. And so, senior year, I just auditioned and I got in. Thank goodness.
Wow. You said it's the only thing that made you happy? Were you just kind of, in the sense that you were just a little directionless and that just brought you joy and it gave you a direction?
I think, one, I'm dyslexic. So going, hello.
I think we're the same person.
We're like
actually.
twins. Classes were challenging. I wasn't an academic, and math is another language for me. It was a really challenging thing as well. So all of the courses, I was doing what I could, but it didn't give me joy. It was always a struggle. It was always sort of, now I have to go to this one. And then, when we'd have our, acting class, I'm trying to think of like, what were the classes called in high school? I don't even remember, but, we'd have acting or whatever. And it was the only time that I could freely express myself and that I wasn't necessarily wrong, right? So when you're in like history or science, you didn't get the thing right, you were wrong. In acting, you're not wrong. You're just exploring, and you get the opportunity to do something that is, you felt unshackled. I felt like I could breathe. Yeah. And so I think acting, I was allowed to be the child that I was. And in the other classes, it was this sort of defiant clash. So I think that's how it was the thing that gave me joy and confidence. And, I felt I could be, I felt I was welcomed in that space.
And if you were to pursue something beyond high school, that would be something
that
appealed to you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Total sense.
And, I'm not to say that BU wasn't I had a lot of issues in BU too, because at least when I was there, I was one of just a few people of color, and my 4 years, I did I played every different ethnicity.
Oh my
and
goodness.
It drove me absolutely batty. Like I think it was my senior year. It might have been my junior year, but my senior year for sure. I remember talking to my teachers and saying, "Look, you guys, I don't have to work on being ethnic. I got that down.
Yeah.
I walk into a room and I got people like, she's ethnic. I don't need to work on that. When I go to college, I'm assuming that I have the opportunity, just like the white girl next to me, to play Juliet. You guys are telling me that she only gets to play Juliet and I only get to play the nurse. And that is not fair. Because if I'm writing a check, the same check that she's doing, or if I have a scholarship, I should still have the same opportunities." So
school or not.
Challenge.
School or not, it shouldn't matter. That's theater.
It should not matter, exactly. And yet, right? And yet. So, it was, those were 4 years of, I loved, what was so sad is that I loved learning stuff. I loved getting all that information. I loved doing, the weird period dancing and the, working with a broadsword and doing mime. I loved all the different styles, mask work. Yeah. I loved all of that. The thing I didn't like was when we got to casting, it was like, all of that stuff didn't matter. They just went right into the typical thing. Like, well, this one's the blonde one, so that you're the ingenue, you're the studly guy, you're the jock, you're the minority, you're the slave, or you're the spear carrier, and you just want to go, that's not why I put my check down. I didn't come here for that. If I went to med school, you wouldn't teach, and I'm going to like be a cardiologist, you wouldn't tell me, teach me half the stuff because I'm a person of color. You would teach me the same stuff that the white person would get. And so it's weird that you would not, you would all of a sudden when we start doing art, we, shortened my world. Yeah. So B was tricky.
So you went from theater school and then what?
And then, so I graduated, got to New York, went back home. I was so happy. I felt like I was emancipated. I was like, yes, I'm out of school. Now I can start making a living and doing this thing that I love to do. And what I love about New York, especially back in the day, is we have, there was tons of theater, like, off Broadway, off Broadway, stage reading, showcases. You just opened up your backstage. There'd be this huge cattle calls, which I went to all the time. And I kept joking that I should go to like no paying theater gigs anonymous. Because at a certain point, you know what I mean? Like at a certain point, the phone would ring and I'd pick it up. I'm like, oh, yes, yes. And I'd hang up like, damn it, I did it again. I said yes to no money. Yes. But the good thing about that is that we got our legs, right? We got we got our chops. You sort of like learned how to pick up a script, how to create a character, how to pull that off, and how to, we went to school in the actual world. Yeah. And then it became really clear that I was making no money and I had to make some money. So I tried to figure out how to do that. I signed up with a couple temp agencies. Two things about that. I'm a terrible waitress, like really terrible, terrible. And then at the temp job, I did one day at this temp job the temp job sent me out to a job as a receptionist. The receptionist place called the temp agency and said, don't ever send that girl out. She don't know what she's doing. She don't know what she's doing. And I did not. So I realized I had to figure out, I had to figure out a way to make money. And so I actually started to study commercials. Instead of, going to the bathroom during a commercial, I would sit and listen to the commercial, look at the people who they hired. For voiceovers, I'd listen to their sounds and listen to what, how, who was being hired, via their voices. And I basically applied that and started booking like a shitload of commercials. Back in the, I guess in the 90s, there was a period of time where you couldn't turn a channel and not hear my voice. It was that crazy. I was just doing a shitload of voiceovers and on-camera commercials. And then I did a soap opera called Another World.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, which, by the way, was another great thing that we had in New York. We had so many soap operas, which is another great training program, a playing field for actors and, ways to learn how to do.
How is that for you? As, like being dyslexic. I'm asking because that was something that I had to work on a lot when I was in school. I had a soap opera class and I was like, you guys, I can't do this. And actually that helped me read. I don't know your experience with it, but because you're forced to do it so much, you figure out how to read. For me,
that's exactly right. No, I'm the same thing, Heidi, because you do soap operas and they basically can bring down 5-10 pages on the day. Like, here's 10 pages, learn it. We're going to shoot that now. And when you're dyslexic, the more stressful the situation, the more the letters kind of go wackadoo, right? Yeah. So you kind of have to learn how to calm yourself down. But I actually felt the same as you just said. Because of doing the soap opera, it helped me because I had to read. I had to figure it out. I would just take myself into a space, get into my dressing room or just a quiet spot on the set. And I'd just sit there and I would go over it. And it just, it made me believe and trust myself a bit more. Cause that's also another thing with dyslexia. We're really nervous when you read in front of somebody, you don't want to be judged and, it's just a lot. So that really helped me with my, with overcoming my own, sort of embarrassment or nervousness about, people sort of judging me about being dyslexic. Right. So it ended up, oddly enough, it ended up being really helpful because it retooled a muscle in my brain or my head to take the words out off the page and trust myself in knowing that I figured out the right word.
Right. Yeah. And finding the meaning behind the word was a lot easier because that means something to you, you'll remember, or you'll read it correctly. I remember I just had all my print was all circles and lines and dots, so I had something to, like a guide for my eyes to follow.
Absolutely.
I'm glad I'm on the path that I'm on, but I remember that just being a good life lesson. And
yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? Because, people think that there's only a linear way of learning. And when you're dyslexic, we realize that because of need of survival, that it's not just linear. It can be completely around the corner. We can figure out all these different ways to get to that same end game. And if you ask me, it just makes us more creative and more open because we also realize in difficult situations that there isn't only one way to get to the bottom of something. We know that there's multitudes of ways for us to figure it out. And
not sitting there banging your head against the wall trying to get through the one door that's not open. You look over, there's a window wide open.
Right. Go over there. It's right over there.
And in fact, there's a garage door open right around.
That's right, exactly.
My goodness. And I feel like that comes hand in hand a lot with ADHD and ADD. It totally makes sense to me now as an adult, having been diagnosed later in life. With all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, what I love about my mother's a psychologist, and
my father's a psychologist.
Stop it! What?
Stop it!
You're my twins. This is weird. So I love psychology. I love anything that has to do, the exploration. And the truth of the matter is, when our brains, when we have these different things that come out of our persons, it's actually our brains doing the best they can to help us survive and to help us, to help us step forward, and so sometimes, like, I think the thing about multiple personalities, what an amazing thing, that a person could have a situation so traumatic that the brain says, it's okay, you take a pause, I'll take over here, and that's the brain. That's an amazing thing. And so with, dyslexia, with ADHD, with so many things, with people on the spectrum, that is the brain saying, okay, all right, this situation's a little challenging for me to understand and to compute. I'm going to have to look at it a different way. And the thing that's beautiful, first of all, that's a beautiful thing and should be celebrated. And the actions that should be taken is the people who do not have dyslexia or on a spectrum. It's their job to slow down and check in with us. They're making an assumption that we should get on their page. We're trying to say, dude, I don't even see that page. I'm trying to just stand up and you asking me to step on something I don't even see. So if you can see it and I can't see it, then it's your job to pause, slow down, give us the space and the encouragement to explore how we get to where we need to go. It's just, it shouldn't be judgment. It shouldn't be,
I never thought about that.
It really is. It's because it's that's the thing. It's sort of like if someone, like, if your speech delayed, you have someone like mad at you because you're stuttering or that you can't find the words. Well, that's not fair. That's not going to help that person.
Right.
They're not going to be able to find the words any easier. But what would help is if the person who's asking them to find the words slows down and just says, you tell me what words you have. Let us figure it out together. Exactly. Take your time. Yeah.
Just giving them permission. Obviously, they're going to take the time because they have to, or, whatever. But sometimes giving permission creates such a positive environment and space.
Hugely so.
Yeah, it ends up being more productive in the long run, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I'm glad we said this because it's really something to be spoken about, and there's no shame, there's no embarrassment. It should not have anything to do with any of that stuff. It should literally be, what are the amazing, like, you and I will look at the world in a different way because of the situations that we, our brain functions. Wouldn't it be wonderful if someone wanted to tap in and take a look at how we see the world? I mean, it would be a wonderful conversation. Like, let's not just all look in the world in the same one, linear way. How about look at it through the eyes of someone who has some kind of, who's not neurotypical, That
is a great way of saying it instead of using the word disability.
Yes.
That's it. That word really, it gets me. I don't know why. I mean, when I was growing up, advanced math, remedial reading, it just doesn't make sense. It's just different ways of learning different things. I was just talking to somebody about this recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just having that standard education, even just in schools now, it's a little... It puts kids in this mindset that they are not good enough, or they aren't... Some kids are just like, well, I'm never going to do it, so I might as well just drop out, or I might as well, join a gang, or, whatever the case may be.
Truth, though. But that's the truth. That's why, I joined my dojo, right? Because I could have joined a gang. Because you're looking for some place where they embrace you.
Yeah.
Where you include, right. And if you're in a classroom and they're doing standardized testing or all that stuff, and you and my eyes are not seeing, or, the other thing that I really hate about standardized testing is the time limit. Sometimes somebody's on question 5 and I might have just gotten through question 1 and I'm a time limit. And because I didn't finish it as fast as that person did, I'm now less. There's a whole new look that has to happen for our educational system. And this is all about empowering our youth. We have to empower our youth. We have to encourage our youth. We don't want to marginalize them or ostracize them because they have some differences. And to me, being a little mixy thing, I love differences. Anything different, bring it on. But it's more, of course, I grew up in Greenwich Village. I grew up in the place where everything that's taboo is the norm. Like, if you have a problem with something, get the fuck out of the village. This is our area, And I love that. I think, let's embrace our differences, our different sort of strengths and weaknesses, and see what we can come up with. It's a much more beautiful thing than to sort of just hope for homogenized society. Yuck. Yeah.
That is so... That's such a good point, and it definitely isn't talked about nearly enough. And although they do offer an extended time period on certain tests, but you have to ask for it. It's embarrassing.
Right.
I've done it, and then you get to the point where, well, I don't want to be the only one in life. You can't ask for time extensions on things, and you kind of get in your own. I got in my own head about it, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Oh no. Yeah.
But just to impose that in the first place is kind of.
Now, that's a really good point, Heidi. That's a really good point, because they can say, if you have issues, you need to, if you have you want to ask for more time, go ahead and ask. But they have now set up a situation where that already vulnerable person has to get up either in front of the entire class, or even if it's just, can I talk to you for a second over here? You've not made that space safe. You've made them like they're already an other. Right? Because they have to ask for something special. Mm-hmm. So you're already in a different category. Here's the majority that seems fine, but you need some.
Either that or somebody's parents or
right.
Mommy and daddy gave you extra time. It makes you feel.
Right. Just all kinds of weird shit, which again, it should be, our educational systems should always be around, not only our educational systems, because dyslexia is dyslexia. She's with me at all times, there should be, it took me a long time during table reads to have the confidence to sort of while taking a reading, go, how do you say that word? What's that word? Because there's always something that comes, that's just a little weird or something, and my eyes don't see it. And for the longest time, I'd break out into cold sweat whenever I had to sit down to do a table read, especially if it's cold, because all I could think about is they are going to think of me differently because I'm not going to be able to read as well, or I'm going to say a word wrong or whatever. And, only now, after 30 years in this industry, can I just sort of read a thing and be like, yeah, I don't know how to say that word. Somebody want to pitch it? Thank you. And I want us to encourage our youth and our adults to own that and take the time to make yourself comfortable when you're in those situations. We really should just all band together and just not feel embarrassed. Own it. I kind of think I got a little situation with my eyes and letters and numbers, and it's no big deal. I'm just going to take the time I need to get me to the place I need to be to say the words.
Turns out nobody cares.
Nobody
cares. You ask and someone answers, and then you move on. It's just most of the time in your head. And if someone does care, I don't care to know them.
That's right. That's exactly right. I don't care to know you.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I feel bad for them because they don't get to know me.
That's right. There you go. I love that. That is correct. That's exactly how we should think.
Compassion for those
who
don't understand. So you moved you kind of moved yourself into the business by studying commercials and kind of going back to just rounding out where your career has taken you, because although it's not just about your accomplishments, that you have so many of them that it's just even speaking about just the dyslexia and all that, and coming from a troubled teen situation into a career that you've built yourself, even though you have very influential folks who have obviously, had some impacts, major impacts on your life. You were the one that went out and was like, I'm going to study this commercial. I'm going to do this. And then, I mean, I'm looking at this like laundry list of things that you've been in: theater, film, everything. I mean, you'll be here all day if I even just start to tap into it. But I do want to get to what you're working on now, and then Blindspot a little bit. But what brought you into, did you do commercials first and then kind of work your way into television, film, that kind of thing? Or what was your trajectory?
It was theater first, theater. Then commercials to pay for my theater habit.
Right, for theater habit.
That fabulous habit. And then I think I got into a soap. That's when I got the soap.
Right, okay.
And then it just sort of, that's right. The first thing after the soap, and I was still doing the soap, was a pilot, a sitcom. And I booked this pilot and I had to go, I flew out to LA. We shot it didn't get picked up, but shot the pilot and I really liked it. It was a really,
cool.
I was like, this is kind of fun. What is this category? And so just like I did with the commercials, I just started to like look into television, and I'm a TV whore. I love doing TV. It's something in my bones. I just love it. And honestly, and I would tell this to like any artist, each show that you watch, like if you think of it from an actor's point of view, it's different genre work, right? So you have a half hour, and that's not even the same. Like a half hour on NBC is different than a half hour on CW, right?
Oh,
so
absolutely,
right? And an hour long on HBO is going to be different than an hour long on CBS as well. An hour long on CBS and NBC are different, right? Because there's just a little different tone that each network sort of owns, for lack of a better word. So when auditioning for things, I did my homework. I would sit in front of shows and I'd watch the shows and I'd see what the tone is. Because to me, it was like learning, this is ennui, this is Moliere, this is, Pinter. This is, I would literally use them as if they were different genres, different types of writing, of style of acting, and then flavor my auditions in that way, and as you can see, I ended up just sort of booking a bunch of stuff. And then I also give myself little weird things too. At one point I was like, I want to do a guest or a contract on every single network. And so then I set out to be like, what? Yeah, literally like a challenge. Like, what network have I not been on? Yeah.
Oh, that's
and it's
awesome.
great because what's so fun about that is that it gets you out of the preciousness of the audition. Like, please, can I have this job? It's now something they don't even understand. Like, they don't know. You're like, I'm going to see if I can get this one. Watch this. Okay, here I go. And it just gives you the secret. It gives you this kind of, fun adventure. And it doesn't make you feel like if you don't get that job, it's the end of the world. It's okay. That's just that one. And what's fun about giving yourself a challenge is that if you didn't get that job, which was for whatever ABC, you're like, okay, well, I need to get an ABC thing. So you're still focusing on that and you're still putting your energies into getting something. That's so great. And it's just a great way to give yourself freedom and power.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
And not so like, like if I don't get this, I'm bad. It has nothing to do with that. Give yourself make them wonder why you're so happy when you walk into the room. You're like, why is that? She is really happy in this audition.
Yeah. She didn't
and then she left.
Yet.
She left and she didn't even care. She left and didn't even say goodbye, because it's your time. Yeah. Your time. Yeah.
And that energy you'll say too, like, all right, well, we know she'll show up. And we know she'll go home at the end of the day, so that's good too.
But that's exactly right, Heidi, though, because if you think about it, like I do this often too, is that I want to think of from the producer and director's point of view, right? So you come over here on this side of the table. If I'm about to, invest hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars on you for either a commercial or for a television show or for a movie, I need to feel comfortable that I'm not going to need to hold your hand, right?
Right.
So I need to see you come into this room to answer my problem, which is who am I going to cast? I'm looking
Right.
for you to answer my problem. So when I see someone come in who owns themselves, owns their space, has something going on that has nothing to do with me behind the desk, that's intriguing. That's
Yeah.
interesting. And it also makes me, as the producer, the director, the investor, calm or excited, because I know that I can invest in that person and they're going to do something. If you come into that room worried and sort of self-doubting and just beating yourself up, as the investor, I can see that. And so I'll take a moment going, she's really good, but am I going to have to, is there going to be a call to my office at, midnight that I have to come out to set and hold this person's hand? Because I don't want that call. So it's a way to give yourself, own the room, power. It's the way to give yourself confidence, be your biggest
give
fan.
yourself confidence, give yourself permission to just be that person for that minute.
And, if you're in the room and you're auditioning and you feel like you messed up, do it again. It's your time. I can't even tell you how many times I've been in an audition and I'm like maybe halfway through and I'm like, okay, that sucks. That just stinks like poo-poo. Let's just do it again. And I don't care. They may not, I may get the part, I may not. They may not like that. I don't care. It's my audition. Mm-hmm, so I want to leave that room where I felt like, well, at least I did what I did the best I could.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's a really, really good way of looking at that.
Yeah.
You've done, there's so many things. Off-Broadway, The Constant Couple.
And Broadway, I even got to be on Broadway, which,
What was your favorite? Wait, so did you meet Garrett, your husband, doing theater?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We met doing 900 Oneana for Circle Rep. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm like, my brain, and I read so much, I'll call it research. I've gotten away from calling it stalking because it's actually, I want to come in here thinking I know a thing or two. Yeah. It's a fine line. If I didn't have a podcast, I don't know. But no, that's just so cool. Do you sing? Wait, before she answers you, I just wanted to remind you that you can get 10% off your next order at pitstonketchup.com if you use the code HungryStuntGirl at checkout. That's Pittston Ketchup, PITTSTONKETCHUP, the way you spell ketchup.com. It's tomatoey and delicious and goes on just about everything you might be cooking up this summer. Okay, sorry. Back to the show.
I don't sing. I do that spoken word sort of thing. Like I'll sing a little bit, like that Hernando's Hideaway, like I know a dark, secluded place. Like that was the audition song, whatever, you're like, yeah, I can sing. But
match a pitch and we're good.
That's right. I can match pitch. It's fine. But I'm an actor.
Oh, wow. Comic book superhero.
Yeah.
Fire. What are some of the things that you said, I want to book this, that, the other thing. What are the things that you were like, this was so fulfilling to do, and this character was so great to sink my teeth into, something that maybe you wanted to do, or something that unexpectedly caught you off guard? Yeah,
that's a good one, because there was a moment where I'd been doing so much television, and I started feeling like I was getting some habits that I didn't want to, lock into, like, just being really natural and talking, kind of quietly, and I could pick my nose or, do all this stuff and then be really serious and blah, 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 and you're so natural. And I just was like, I think I'm getting away from acting, because it's, you're just, remember that thing of, acting, of filling the space. So I told my agents to send me in, this is when I was just doing tons of television, TV, just booking everything. And I told my people to start submitting me on theater auditions. And of course they're so funny because, they want money. So they're like, well, you don't want to do it. And I was like, it's not about that. Just, I'll choose whether I'm going to do a play or not, but I want you to send me auditions because I need to learn how to use my voice again, how to use the words again, how to make a big choice, own it, and stand on stage and deliver it. And I do remember the very first audition that I had was for A Winter's Tale, Shakespeare, for Hermione. And I remember I did this monologue, and God bless this director, I don't even remember, but he, like at the end of the monologue, he was like, okay, that's good. You know what? Let's try using your voice to say the words this time. And it was just one of those moments that I was like, oh my
Wow.
God. Right. Because I, of course, like, doing New York NYPD Blue or Law and Order, you're just like saying your words really, as natural as you can and sort of talking
Right.
here and making really and being craggle, all that kind of bullshit. And he's like, I can't hear you. But in that moment of doing these auditions, I got this one script play audition, Lope de Vega's Dog in the Manger. It's a Spanish author. He's kind of parallel the same time as Shakespeare. And the cool thing about him is that in his plays, there were women. Shakespeare used men
Right.
as their women, but he had women. And Spanish women. So what I love, the women are like fiery. They're fantastic. They're so like, they're just big and bold and delicious. And I got this audition for it. And it was so funny because it was right at the beginning of pilot season. And I looked at this thing and I was just like, wow, this is an amazing part. I mean, she's on stage. I think she's off stage like one scene, something I've never experienced. And I thought it was so, really good. And I thought, oh, well, like do some work, Michelle, and just, see if you can fill that space when you get into the room. And I got into the room and I really had such a great time. I loved working with this director. I loved talking about it and it was so good. And then they offered it to me. And then they, I had to do partner auditions with who would be my love interest. And I was having such a good time. And my agents were like, this is going to take you out of pilot season. And it was one of those moments because I didn't have like money or whatever, but I was just like, you know what? I need to do this. And so that was probably one of the most surprising and satisfying theater experiences I've ever had. I mean, I got to wear like, a corset and, that big puffy dress thing, which I think is what I like as a child. You're always like, I wonder if I'll ever be a princess or whatever,
Oh my gosh.
And she was strong and powerful and it was just a beautiful experience.
It's
and
just another
that,
world. We don't live in a world where we wear that,
Right. A completely different experience. I mean, I would love to revisit that, it would be a beautiful experience. And then I have to say, I have two other parts that I love, with all my heart. And one of them is Shepard from Blindspot. I do not know why, but I just love me some Shepard. I think because she was such a, she was such a patriot. She was such a good soldier. She was such a righteous villain.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't just a villain. She believed in her cause. Her soldiers were killed because the government betrayed her. She was a good soldier. She had committed to the country and they turned their back on her. And it's such a great depth of information for you to pull to play a villain, because it's not just being bad. It's really trying to right a wrong, and the wrong that you see, whether people see it or not. So I just, it's, very well, it's a delicious group of people. Blindspot was just so fun and so crazy and so big and, just all of it. And
bigger than life. It has to be the way it's set up, the way it's written. And your character specifically could easily be destroyed. Like just
Absolutely.
reading the script, I'm like, you can really misstep with this and take it too, take the words too literally. If you're not actually inside this character, there's so much happens. Even before we meet this character, there's such a buildup, and then you meet this character, and there's just such an expectation. And I felt like you way surpassed my expectations for what this character could be. And
Thanks,
then,
babe.
being able to read it as well. Yeah.
And I've said it to Martin, I've said it to many times. I'm like, if Shepard ever has to come back from the dead, I'm right there. Or flashbacks, I will be there no matter what. But Shepard is one of my, favorites. And then I got to say, Raffi on Star Trek. I can't even, there's something, it's kind of crazy to sort of have a realization at this point in my life as a woman of a certain age and of a certain color, that this is the first time that I've felt that I've been asked to bring to life a character who is valuable to the full telling of the story that we're about to enter into. She's not coming into a room and giving exposition. I'm not coming into a room and handing someone something, here you go, and then leaving. I'm not just the, strong cop over here who can, has a low voice and can hold a gun really well. This character is human, and perfectly imperfect, as we all are. She's haunted. She has regrets. She's striving to do better. She's, got addictions, but she's not like, someone nodding out on the side of the street. She literally has an addiction so that she can get up in the morning and greet the day. She's trying to do better. She's trying to do better. And I'm sure we all know people who have had different types of addictions. And it doesn't have to be heroin. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It could be eating disorders. It could be sex. It could be, so many different things. And those people are all still valuable to our society. And we can't just write them off. There's value in there. And they're vulnerable. And we have to have compassion and empathy. And the fact that I've been given this character, every script I got, Heidi, I literally was just, page through it. And I was just like, and I didn't want to tell my family or, my husband about what was happening in the script because I wanted them to be, a surprise when the show aired. But it was crazy for me because I'm like, I'm doing some stuff. I'm doing some stuff. I can't even believe it.
When your character first came out, I was like, Shepard? Because it was just kind of that.
Because she had the gun, right? She's bad. And then clearly not Shepard. No. Yeah.
But it's nice coming off of that, coming off of that character, going into this character. Obviously the characters are different, but it's I bet you were like, oh yes, now I can, go down this other slope.
Because it's almost, that's interesting you said that. That's very true, Heidi, because it is almost like you could see Shepard, because Shepard has all those kind of things as well. She almost just doesn't deal with them. She doesn't give in to her.
Right. If Shepard gave in to her
covers
addiction.
It. Yeah, exactly. She didn't get it. But this one is she can't get out of it. She's doing her best to get out of the addiction. And I have to say one other thing, just if there's actors listening, one of the things that I was so humbled and grateful for is Michael Chabon, who's one of our, who was a showrunner, and he's also a novelist and he's a phenomenal writer. And I just love him. I love him so much. And this is just for artists to remember, when we were talking about Rafi, he said to me, I didn't know who Rafi was, the full extent of her, until you read her lines until your audition tape. And that's something that we should hear, right? It's a really empowering thing, because a lot of times, when you audition for something, you're trying to guess what they want, right? You look at your script and you're like, all right. So I'm a store owner and she's mad at this person and I think they probably want me to do this. So you try to do something to please them. They're looking for you to bring life to the words. You bring it. They don't know. You bring it. Take off those limitations. Allow yourself to be the one who enlightens them as to who this character is, by how you walk in the room, by how you take charge of that character, that you can say, I got it, and that's not to say, don't ask questions or, be, aggressive. It's just to give you the power that you do your work, make your choice, believe in your choice, and then let yourself fly with it. Let yourself explore, because they're looking for you to tell them who this character is. And I loved learning that.
Of course, you're also very willing and able to take a note if they see a 100%. Different direction. And I love direction. Part of that. Don't
you love direction?
Yeah, I do.
Right,
I do.
Right. But it's funny though, because you don't always, you don't always get direction, right? We don't always get direction. Sometimes you just get this sort of, okay, a weird look. And you're like, if I suck, let me know,
Yeah. Anything? No?
Anything at all? Yep. Just silence? Okay. Yeah. Direction is great. We like that.
I am an actor in some ways as well. And, we need feedback.
We need feedback.
We
want feedback.
Pet. Yeah.
We're a little needy. We're just a little needy. It's okay. It's all right.
You're emotionally vulnerable, on purpose. Emotionally.
Yeah.
My words aren't
you're
happening
right. You're right. emotionally vulnerable on purpose. It's a beautiful way of saying it.
Yeah, see,
actually.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to be more confident next time.
That's right.
Well, amidst all of the amidst. So
Yep.
now I lost confidence in my words again. In the middle of all this, business here, I'm gonna shift gears here to what I like to talk about, which is food. Mm-hmm. I spoke with you earlier because I knew that you were at one point vegetarian or vegan, vegetarian or vegan.
I'm sort of veganish right now, but yeah, vegetarian, vegan, yeah.
And you do that. You decided to do that for health and ethical and planetary, not planetary. Well, maybe
it is planetary. That's right. Interplanetary as well.
Since when? Since when, Michelle?
Yeah, since when? Gosh, wow. I don't think I've eaten red meat or chicken for like 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years. It's I was a pescatarian for a little bit, so I think when I stopped eating meat, I went really extreme vegan, but I didn't know how to properly give myself protein and all that kind of stuff. And it's really important that people realize that they have to do that, because I dropped, I lost a ton of weight. My hair started to fall out. My period stopped, all these things happened. And I remember going to the doctors, and because I was like, I'm going to die, right? I'm killing. He was like, no, you're just starving yourself.
Yes.
It's like, you need to feed yourself.
You need nutrients. You need vitamins and minerals.
Yeah. So it's really important that you,
omegas.
that you balance that. So after, from from a meat eater, then total vegan, not so good, then pescatarian, just to try to figure out how to get some, animal protein in, because I didn't really know how to do it.
It's hard.
Brain fuel.
It's hard. I'm sure you figured it out by now, but
this is late, this is years later.
Yeah.
But now, because we've got so many different plant-based proteins, it's so much easier. I have to say, the one thing that during this quarantine that I've actually been doing more of is cooking, which has been great. Like I have, those Just Egg things. It's
Just
great.
Egg?
It's called, it's Just Egg.
It?
I should show you it. It's actually made from mung beans.
Beans. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I
it's
know
a total,
it.
It's a plant-based protein.
Never tried
I've made, it's really good. I swear to God, Heidi, you don't notice at all. I've made quiche with it, and I could do whatever kind of quiche I want. I've been made a sweet potato crust quiche with sauteed spinach, shallots, and feta cheese on top. I mean that's not vegan, but just a little feta cheese, but so delicious. My hubby was saying that one of the things, because he's not a vegetarian, vegan, or whatever, he loves shepherd's pie. It's something I've never had, because you do. Well, here's a good one.
I have a story about it, but go ahead.
Okay. I've never had it because it was there when I was not eating meat, and I'm like, so that's just a bunch of hamburger meat and potato. Like, there's nothing attractive about that to me.
Yeah.
But he loves it. And I was like, let me come up with a way of, that we could both eat this. So I found, Beyond Meat, the Beyond Meat burgers or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you get that Beyond Meat stuff, cut that thing up, saute it, put some port, like nice sherry port in there. So it becomes this, Then put, saute celery, carrots, onions, peas, corn.
Oh my goodness.
Mushrooms, whatever do all that stuff. Then the meat thing that you've just sauteed and made kind of like, a little crispy with the port, add that to the vegetable, do all that stuff, put that in a casserole, make some whipped, sweet potatoes, but whip it up like mashed potatoes.
Oh my God.
So it's not even mashed potatoes. So you have sweet potatoes on top, that meat.
Goodness.
Honey,
I'm dying right now.
I can't. I'm like, I'm dying too. It's so good. It's so good. And there's things like the only bean pasta. I think that's what it's called. They have fettuccine, which is made out of black beans. So it's black. It's fettuccine.
Yep.
That's beans. It's protein. It's nothing. Mm-hmm. It's not a carb or anything. You could do any sauce you want. You could do red sauce. You could do pesto. You could do whatever you want. So literally with just those three things, like the Just Egg stuff, the making the Beyond Burger, and the black bean pasta, whatever. I've been exploring every different recipe. I'm thinking my next one up is I'm going to do a black bean pasta lasagna with like with cashew cheese and everything. Yes.
Oh, cashew cheese. So do you make your own cashew cheese?
I don't make my own cashew cheese. I'll work on that. I have to work. Do you?
I just started. Yeah, I made a couple of different ones. I did it. You know, it's just nutritional yeast, cashews, salt, pepper, lemon, and you whip it up in a food processor.
Cashews, salt, pepper.
Yeah,
that's it.
Lemon juice, and it just because the cashew like whips into like if you want like a thick like a cashew butter, just whip cashews up in the food processor. There might be one or two other like little things, but that's it. The nutritional yeast, cashews, lemon, salt, pepper, white pepper, whatever. I put a little cayenne in. Are you a spice person? Do you like spice? Or
I'm
like
a little bit of a
spices?
wimp. I'm gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a wimp. My husband's a really good spice person. I'm a wasabi spice. Like I'll do wasabi like nobody's business, but I can't do the other one.
For everything that I like, I can handle a little heat. I like spice, not necessarily heat for heat's sake. I don't want something super spicy
just you.
To try to not cry or throw up.
Right. Why do I have to cry at dinner? Why am I crying at dinner?
The chicken wing, sign this waiver? No, I'm good.
No, I won't. Yeah. Well, my father was Jamaican, so curry, curd goat, jerk chicken.
Jerk chicken.
I
just did a jerk chicken the other day. I do chicken.
Did you?
Yeah, we did it on the grill. But I mean, that would be. I bet you could do like some sort of like jerk seasoning. Now I'm picturing like that shepherd's pie you just mentioned.
Telling you, Heidi, it's so good.
So many seasonings.
So good. And I try to eat it like as if I'm being, it's fine. Look, I just did a nice portion, and here you just like, I'll just have a second portion, just a second. That's all.
It's so healthy. Come on, it's so good for you. You're just nourishing your body. But what about dessert? Right. That's what I want to know. Dessert? Are you a dessert person? Not so much?
I'm not the biggest dessert person, but I am a dessert person. Like, I'm more of the salty, savory than the sugary, sweetie, kind of thing. Like if I went to a restaurant and they had, although this is sweet, but you know how they have donuts sometimes as a dessert?
Yeah.
Like any kind of girl, any of those bready kind of desserts.
If you've ever been, do you ever go to Flex Mussels?
No, I don't know where.
It's in the Village. It's on 13th and 7th. So like just below 14th. But yeah, they have homemade donuts. I don't believe I think they're vegan as well, but you can do, there's salted caramel. They do a boozy one. So there's like a margarita donut and they're they come in like a little ones. Little tray and you can inject them with whichever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, if you like the donut situation, that's hot, fresh, and made to order with your specific. You order whichever like flavors you want and to order. So
yeah, donuts. That's like donuts are just that's my weakness there. Donuts and potato chips are my weakness. I try to stay away.
Oh my goodness.
But I have to say, Jennifer's Way, I think it is. Jennifer Esposito. She's a friend of mine. She had she used to have a vegan bakery in Lower East Side, and now she has a cookbook. Yeah. And her book it's completely because she had celiac disease. She has. So she has created recipes to help you, anybody who has celiac disease or any issues, you can make anything. So she has a whole, this huge section on desserts. And I've just started making some of them. I made a triple berry crumble the other day, and it was so good. And it was made with oat flakes and like maple sugar as opposed to like granulated sugar or anything.
Yes.
And just
I've been doing
berries.
Coconut sugar too, like that.
Coconut sugar, coconut
brown sugar, putting that in
That's
recipes.
So good.
Cuts down by far the spike in your blood sugar and everything.
Yes, exactly. So I'm starting to that's my new little thing is I'm going to make some desserts out of her book because I figure at least, and they're really good. I've been to her house. She's cooked for me. It's called Jennifer's Way. I'm going to show you it. Jennifer's Way. It looks like that.
Oh my goodness. I was on Taxi Brooklyn with her and on Blindspot because I doubled Kyler Lee on.
Oh, that's right.
Taxi Brooklyn.
That's right. I forgot she did Blindspot.
Well, you got the hookup. Get her to come on this podcast. I would talk to her for an hour about that cookbook.
Are you kidding? She'll do it. I'll connect you at the end of this. I'll call her and we'll connect you guys.
I would love 100%. That.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question for you. This is my last question on food because I can get really into this one topic. And if you're not into it, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I have an obsession with ice cream. All kinds of ice cream. Coconut milk ice cream. Dairy, gelato, even sorbet, anything sweet. and frosty and, that you can put on a brownie. I'm all about it. Do you have thoughts? Do you have ice cream thoughts? I know obviously not dairy, but
I'm not a dairy person, but Italian ice, like lemon sorbet.
Lemon sorbet.
Don't you put a pint in front of me and expect to have any of that. I'm just letting you know. I'm letting you know right now. You put that pint in front of me, it's gone. It's mine. That's mine.
For me, that's the sugar that I can't seem to let go of. Yeah.
I'm there with you too, but I feel like it's not so bad. We're so good. The other things we're working out. Come on.
I am. Yeah. In the beginning of this quarantine, I definitely was very excited to cook more, and I was like, oh, it'll be just like a couple weeks. We'll be back to normal, right? No.
I know.
So I just kept cooking, and then I got in the habit of just eating 3 meals a day. When do I ever eat 3 meals a day, first of all?
Right.
Never. That's the answer.
Right.
Or I'll have a protein bar and I'm out running around and training and,
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, now I have a podcast.
So do you feel like, how do you feel? Do you feel healthier because of that you're cooking your food and you know what's going in your body, or what?
For a while it was nice. And then I definitely was eating just too much because it was sport eating. It was,
right.
Walking in circles and just ending up back at the refrigerator for a while there.
That's right.
We're
here again.
I'm here. Here we are again. And I ended up putting a sticky note in the refrigerator that said, "You're not hungry, you're bored. Go back to doing what you're doing."
That's really good. So we need that. Sometimes we just need that little reminder.
But hey, I learned how to bake bread. I learned how to do like the starter, doing my own starter, and I got to my first really good loaf of bread, and then I'm like, I'm stopping right now because this is an expensive habit. First of all,
That's
if
true.
if you keep up with it, and you don't have, I mean, who am I? I'm not going to eat a loaf of bread every day, so it's I'm feeding this thing.
We should not eat a loaf of bread.
Eat a loaf of bread every day.
We can, but
easily. Yeah, so that's me now, and I've been working out more, doing the Peloton, and yoga. I'm trying to. It's so hard to motivate myself to just turn on that damn thing.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing with yoga is like, just to begin some movement, in your body is what we want. You don't need to do like a handstand or a perfect downward dog or whatever, but it's the importance of moving the body in a way that you don't move it during the day. Right. Because like if you think about twists and stuff, those are that's like wringing out your organs. We never wring out our organs. It's just not a position you find yourself. Not typically. Sometimes, but that's
Tuesdays and Thursdays are my
That's right.
Yeah.
Generally, right. But I agree, because I will tell you, I do yoga. I'm not like yogi person, and I love it. I still talk to myself while I'm doing it. I'm like, God damn it, and there's a lot going on, but I understand the benefit of it. So that's
when I'm done. I'm like, I'm never. When I finish a yoga class, whether it's online or in the flesh, it's never wish I didn't do that.
Right.
Actually,
right.
I lied.
You're
there was
like,
one it had to do with a room that was 115 degrees for Bikram.
Oh, no.
So that was, I would never do that again.
I'm sorry, Bikram. I can't. I did the same thing.
I can do it, just not that one class. That was not a good one.
Oh, you do? Because I did it one time, and I first of all, my body, like I'm a hot body anyway. Like I run hot. I always have. So going in that room, like I always used to joke that when I put on workout clothes, like just put them on, I'd start sweating because it was like, oh, that's what we're doing now,
Yep. But we're working out. Let's start
right now. So I walked into that Bikram room, girl, and I was just like, like, okay, this is gonna be a lot.
Yeah. Before you get to the end of the aisle to put your mat out, you're covered in sweat.
I'm covered. Yeah. So I didn't enjoy that myself, but.
Do you have any injuries that you've had? Because you've done so much action.
Yeah.
And we'll wrap it up
sadly,
in a minute here, but
sure. No, but sadly, my left foot is just she don't work anymore. I need a new foot.
No.
And it's basically because of the dojo, which I loved, was a concrete dojo, and this is back in the day, this is before all of how it is now. The dojo that I have my two nephews going, there's like pads everywhere.
Yeah.
The ground is padded, the wall is padded. They're shooting they punch a padded makiwara pad. We had wooden pads.
Wood.
Yeah. We did wooden, and we had a concrete floor. And what I found decades later is that I had broken the sesamoid bones off in the bottom of my foot, and they were just floating around.
Goodness.
Yep. And
I don't even know
I
what
couldn't
that
understand
sounds like.
why
Sesame
I was
seeds. I don't know. Sesame.
right,
What's it called?
the sesame seed bones, the sesamoid bones. They're like, if this is
Sesamoid
the
bones.
sole of my
I
foot.
should know that.
Yeah. They're sort of like, they're the two bones that are here. They're just like right
okay.
at the ball
The
of your
pad
foot.
of the foot. Yeah.
Yeah, that keeps,
Ball.
that has a lot of function and mobility there. And because of, and my left foot, because my right foot's my fighting foot, like my kicking foot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a lot of pivots, and I loved kicks. So I was just doing a lot of work on that foot.
On your left foot.
Yeah. And I think a few years ago, it was just getting really more and more painful, and it created a bunion, and then I got a heel spur, and just so many things. And last year, I decided I had to have an operation because I was just walking and crying. I was just like, I'm walking in pain. I'm not even doing anything. And I'm an athlete, and that's just not fair. So I had the surgery, 7 procedures, 3 hours. And I will tell you that this is a year later, and it's a little okay. I mean, I don't think anybody should ever have an operation. I wish I didn't, honestly, because it's just, it's, I have to adjust. I have to wear, I wear Hoka slides, Hoka
Yep.
recovery slides in the house. I can't walk around barefoot right now. It hurts.
Jamie was wearing those for a while because of her leg.
Oh yeah, they're for people who have issues,
Yeah.
And I love them. I'm like, I should invest in Hoka right now. But yeah, my major issue is that one foot, and it frustrates me. As you know, as an athlete, it's just, it's such a weird thing to not have your body be as responsive as you want. Like, I have a heavy bag, back there, and
really?
It used to be
That's
fun. full body thing. And I used to, just go at it, and, it's so weird that I can't really throw my kicks anymore. And I was always known for my kicks. And
you're so good. So good. Fighting you was the most fun. Because I got to fight you and Janelle on that. And so did Jamie, but I was the lucky one that got to train with you. You had such a chill space.
Such a fun
there.
time. It was such a great, you're so awesome. You're so ridiculously talented. It's ridiculous.
Ditto. Thank you for that. But
yeah, no, of course. But yeah, I guess, for us, we just, we have to learn how to modify and take care of the body as best we can. And we can still do all the stuff we need to do. We just have to modify, adjust.
Okay, last question.
Yes,
okay, two-part question, actually.
2 questions, sure.
If you could cook anything, had all the time in the world, what would you cook? Number 1, part B. I'll give you part B as well. What would be the quickest thing if you could cook something really quickly to go that, something that it doesn't have to be your favorite thing, but let's just say something that you're very obviously active and you have auditions and all that kind of stuff, so you're in and out and you can't go somewhere to get something, you have to make it. So, thing that you take all the time in the world first.
I think that all the time, well, I have to say, I'm telling you, the shepherd's pie, I'm sort of obsessed about it. I literally, I could make it, eat it, and then the next day I'm like, can we make some more shepherd's pie? It's so, I think it's also because being a vegetarian or whatever, vegan, the thought of taking a forkful of meat is just, we just don't do that. Yeah. And the fact that this is Beyond Burger and it looks like it's meat and you just take a big old thing and you just chomp on it. There's something decadent and I'm cheating.
Naughty.
It feels really, naughty. Like, look at me. Ah! And that sweet potato makes it, there's this sweetness about it. Yes. And the port in the meat part makes the meat just sort of, it's just so good. I can't wait for you to make it. It's so good, honey.
Do you put anything in the sweet potatoes?
No. I don't. I mean,
coconut
we use no, but we did put some coconut milk in just because we thought should we put some milk in it to make it smooth. I don't know.
Creamy.
And we use Earth's Balance.
Balance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I use that too.
So we put some of that in. Yeah, and some little coconut and just whip it up to make it nice and soft and fluffy
silky,
or whatever.
Yeah.
But
a little bit of fat. Yeah.
I'm telling you, when you make it, you're gonna be so happy. It's delicious.
I want the
I've taken pictures. I'll text you and. Just so you know, when I made it, I made it without, I wanted to just figure it out. So I had no recipe. So it's all put this in, put that in, put this in, and it's perfectly fine. It turns out great. I have to just show you a picture of one of the finished. I mean, I look at I'll do this one first. Like that's what it looks like, right?
Like golden
shepherd's
and
pie,
toasty
like
on top.
And then
you
and then
guys,
look at
I
that
have
when
to
you cut
post this.
into it. You cut into it. Look at that, all that kind of stuff. And then look at that. Does that look like?
That
it's
looks
so good.
Michelle, you're killing me right now. I haven't eaten dinner. I've been snacking on carrots and pumpkin seeds.
That's right.
Can
and then
you
the
send
thing
me
that
those pictures? Can I put
sure,
them up?
I'll send you them. Absolutely, I'll send them and the recipe. I'll send them all. And then the quickest thing is as you're like, this is Michelle's favorite dish. She'll eat this 365 days a year.
Yep.
The easy thing that I do that I have often, and when I wake up really early and have to go to set, or if I'm finished a workout and have to get something and go, I enjoy the Kachava shake. Do you know Kachava? It's another really good one. So K-A and then apostrophe C-H-A-V-A, Kachava. And it's loaded. It's loaded. And I get the chocolate one, so it literally tastes like a chocolate shake. I'll put the 2 scoops of that, banana, maybe some Brazil nuts, coconut milk, ice, blend it up. And it's in fact, I just finished. That's what I have.
Oh, that looks so good. Oh,
and
pink camo.
Honey. And this is my loving. This is okay. But it's so good. And, like even my nephews, they love Kachava. They'll put a scoop of it in their oatmeal. And, eat it that way. Yeah. It's loaded. It's loaded with minerals and vitamins and omegas. And it's
That's
everything
good.
you need in a cup of food. Yeah. So those are my 2.
And to be clear, you sound like a much healthier vegan person now that you've realized that you need to be healthy about it. And
100%. I try really hard. Like you said, you look through you look at the ingredients and stuff in the store and all that stuff. Now I'm really obsessed with specifically sodium, sugar, carbohydrates. You just want to get an idea of those because you could find something that looks really healthy and then the sodium content is like 500, which is ridiculous. Or the sugar is, for a drink, it's 35, 45 or something like that. So I'm really conscious of taking those things down and trying to figure out how to get the same kind of satisfaction, with your taste buds and all that stuff. And it's doable. It's completely doable. Another like really fun treat is like these little fruit leather things.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
This is Stretch Island and I love them. They're just, there's nothing in them, just a piece of fruit, and you just, if you want a little, just something to nosh on before in between meals or whatever. It's really, exactly.
Like, something to masticate or that texture that you want, that mouthfeel.
That's right.
Something like that. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Michelle, this is awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you've been super busy, so the fact that you could take out, like 2 hours.
It's okay.
This is awesome.
I can talk to you forever, Heidi. You know that.
Thank you. I adore you.
I adore you, and I could talk to you for hours and hours. You're just outstanding, incredibly talented creature. You're the hugest heart, and I could feel it, when I first met you, and I still feel it to this day. So I thank you for it.
Oh, thank you.
For sharing it with me.
Thank you.
All discussions on this podcast are for entertainment purposes only and are not meant to replace medical advice. Contrary to popular belief, Heidi is not a doctor or a nutritionist or an astronaut, although that would be kind of cool. Heidi, maybe you should be an astronaut.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. And if you could do me one super huge favor and click that subscribe button as well as clicking that 5-star rating, I would be so grateful to you. Support comes from sharing this podcast and ratings from people like you and helps keep this podcast afloat. So thanks again, and remember, stay hungry.